On Tuesday evening, as fire alarms rang at Oakwood Apartments, ambulance nurse Rachel Martinez was responding to an emergency call. When the fire department reported they couldn't enter the building because 16 people were trapped on the upper floors, Rachel grabbed an oxygen mask from the back of the ambulance and ran to the firefighters. "Rachel, too dangerous! Stay outside!" shouted the ambulance driver. But Rachel was already entering the building with the firefighters because that smoke smell wasn't foreign to her, and in the next 45 minutes, everyone would learn who Rachel Martinez really was. Because some people wear ambulance nurse uniforms, but are actually life-saving specialists. Welcome to Hidden Legends. Before we continue with this powerful story, tell us in the comments which city you're watching from today, and if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, hit that subscribe button. Rachel Martinez was the most reliable ambulance nurse at Metro Emergency Services. At 34 years old, she had been working at the same ambulance service for 6 years, never receiving complaints, quietly performing her duties. Patients loved her because she was calm and professional. Her colleagues trusted her because she was controlled in every situation. "Rachel is our most experienced paramedic nurse," said Ambulance Chief David Rodriguez. "She's great in emergencies, reassures patients, and stays cool-headed even in the most stressful moments." But Rachel's ability to stay cool-headed came from places very different from normal ambulance training. The ambulance shift started at 8 a.m. Rachel followed the same routine every day, checking the ambulance, inspecting medical supplies, making route plans with her partner. But these checks were different from an ordinary paramedic. She approached every call with risk assessment, constantly visualizing emergency scenarios in her mind. Her colleagues noticed Rachel's extraordinary calmness. "Rachel, you never panic," they would say. "Experience," Rachel would say briefly. She never went into details, never talked about her past. Rachel's medical kit was also different. Normal paramedics carried basic life support supplies, but Rachel's equipment contained much more. Advanced airway management, trauma surgery tools, respiratory rescue equipment, and specialized gear no one noticed. Rachel Martinez's real story began 16 years ago. She had started paramedic training at age 18. But why? It wasn't family tradition, it was something else. When Rachel was 12, her own house had caught fire. Her family had lost everything, home, belongings, their lives. They stayed in motels for months, struggling. That night she made a promise to herself: "I will save people from emergencies. I will get the best medical rescue training." When she joined paramedic school, she chose advanced emergency medical services. But after basic training, she was selected for more specialized training. International Disaster Response Paramedic Program, the most elite program. This program was 52 weeks of medical rescue training in war zones and natural disaster areas. Rachel was one of the most successful graduates of this program. Rachel wasn't just learning basic life support, combat casualty care, disaster zone medicine, structural collapse medical response, hazardous environment paramedic operations. Most importantly, smoke inhalation treatment and emergency extraction medical support. Rachel's paramedic training wasn't just basic emergency medicine. Modern combat medics received advanced trauma care, hazardous environment medicine, and disaster zone medical operations training. "A paramedic's job isn't just transporting patients in an ambulance," said her instructor, Dr. Sarah Chen. "You're the person providing medical care to trapped civilians in disaster zones, fires, debris, war zones. You make life-death medical decisions for them." Rachel embraced this philosophy. Advanced medical care in hazardous environments, victim stabilization under extreme conditions, emergency medical evacuation from dangerous zones. The most difficult part of her training was combat zone medical response, medical intervention in war zones, fire areas, structural collapse sites. Rachel developed superior skills in this area. Her first deployment was Iraq, combat paramedic on the military medical support unit. Rachel's most difficult medical response was providing simultaneous medical care to 15 casualties after a bombing at a civilian hospital. Mass casualty triage, advanced trauma care, smoke inhalation treatment, perfect training. Her second deployment was Afghanistan, Forward Operating Base Medical Team. During this period, Rachel conducted the most complex medical evacuations: IED explosions, building collapses, fire-related injuries under combat conditions. Her third deployment was Syria border operations, international medical relief missions, refugee camp medical support, disaster zone healthcare. Over 12 years, Rachel handled 500-plus medical emergencies and saved 300-plus civilian lives. But the event that truly changed her was the medical response after the hospital bombing in Aleppo. She had coordinated medical operations for 48 hours in the bombed hospital. Rachel provided medical care to 40 people, performing advanced medical procedures under structural fire and smoke. After that mission, lying in her base, she thought about a civilian career change. She made a promise to herself. Now I will work in U.S. civilian emergency medicine. I will transfer my combat medical expertise to domestic emergencies. After receiving an honorable discharge from International Medical Relief Services in 2019, Rachel had returned to civilian emergency medical services. She participated in PTSD counseling, career reintegration support, and domestic paramedic license renewal programs. But Rachel's goal was clear. Her combat medical experience made her much more effective in civilian emergency response. She could approach every medical emergency from a disaster zone perspective. The domestic ambulance paramedic position was a perfect career transition. It reminded her of the life-saving work from overseas medical missions. But more importantly, she could use combat medicine expertise in civilian medical emergencies. When Metro Emergency Services hired her, Rachel was significantly overqualified. Advanced paramedic license, 12 years of international medical experience, combat casualty care certification, disaster zone medicine specialist. But the hiring committee didn't ask detailed background questions. "I've always wanted to work in domestic emergency medical services," Rachel had said, and now this was true after returning home from overseas. Rachel's ambulance duties seemed simple: emergency calls, patient transport, basic life support. But Rachel was doing much more. She evaluated every call from a rescue specialist's perspective: building layouts, structural hazards, emergency access routes, potential rescue scenarios constantly in her mind. "Rachel, how do you know building systems so well?" her partner Jake Wilson would ask. "Experience," Rachel would say. "Every structure is instructive from an emergency perspective." This experience came from 12 years of combat medical training. Combat medics make rapid triage assessments, hazardous environment medicine, emergency extraction medical support. Rachel also organized ambulance equipment from a combat medical perspective. Advanced trauma care, respiratory rescue, chemical exposure treatment, everything optimized for worst-case scenarios. On Tuesday evening, May 23rd, a routine shift had begun at Metro Emergency Services. Rachel was on duty in the downtown area, partnered with Jake Wilson. At 7:45 p.m., an emergency call came from dispatch. Unit 12, structure fire, Oakwood Apartments, 1500 block Elm Street, multiple residents trapped, high priority. Rachel immediately became alert. Structure fire calls were her specialty. "Jake, this could be a big one," Rachel said while checking ambulance equipment. "Routine fire call, Rachel. Fire department handles it. We transport the injured." But Rachel was already visualizing rescue scenarios in her mind. When they arrived at Oakwood Apartments, the scene was overwhelming. A 6-story brick building, heavy smoke billowing from multiple windows, residents gathered on the street crying and shouting, fire engines, ladder trucks, command vehicles, full response deployment. But smoke was still coming from the building, meaning incomplete evacuation. Rachel immediately approached Fire Command, not routine paramedic standby, but active intel gathering. "Captain, what's the situation?" she asked Fire Commander Phillips. "Martinez. Didn't expect to see you here. 16 residents still trapped in the building, floors 4 through 6, stairwells smoke-logged, elevator shaft compromised." Rachel's brain immediately switched to tactical mode. Building layout, smoke density, victim locations, instant analysis. "Captain Phillips, floor plans available?" Rachel asked. Phillips was surprised. Rachel, aren't you a paramedic? Why are you asking for building schematics? Jake was also confused. Rachel, our job is medical support. Fire department handles rescue. Rachel took building plans from the fire command van. With 12 years of experience, instant assessment, captain, trapped residents on floors 4 through 6, stairwell A smoke compromise, stairwell B structural damage, elevator unusable, alternative egress. Phillips was impressed. Fire escape west side but damaged on 5th floor. Why do you know building systems so well? Rachel's decision time had come. She would reveal her identity. Captain Phillips, I'm not just a paramedic, Rachel said. What do you mean? Phillips asked. I served 12 years with International Medical Relief Services. I was a combat paramedic specialist. Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria operations. Disaster zone medicine, mass casualty medical response. Phillips couldn't believe it. You were a combat medic? Advanced paramedic, then combat medical specialist, international medical relief missions, war zone hospitals, disaster medical response, structural fire medical support, smoke inhalation specialist. Jake was in shock. Rachel, why did you never mention this? Because it wasn't necessary. I'm a civilian paramedic now. But this situation, this is my medical expertise area. Rachel pulled advanced combat medical equipment from the ambulance. What is this equipment? Jake asked. Combat casualty care gear, advanced airway management, trauma surgery tools, chemical exposure treatment, respiratory rescue equipment. Captain Phillips immediately recognized Rachel's medical expertise. Martinez, would you like to coordinate this medical response? Combat medical experience is invaluable in this type of emergency. Copy, Captain. Jake, set up the ambulance in triage position. Multiple casualties expected, advanced medical intervention required. Rachel gave a medical briefing to the fire team. 16 residents trapped, medical assessment priority. Smoke inhalation likely, respiratory support required. Medical evacuation plan, systematic extraction, immediate triage, advanced life support. The fire team was experienced, but Rachel's medical leadership was immediately evident. Martinez coordinating medical aspects of this rescue, Captain Phillips told the team. Rachel was no longer domestic paramedic Rachel. Her 12 years of combat medical experience had kicked in. Rachel followed the fire team with respiratory protection, medical support entry into the building, systematic medical assessment on each floor. On the 4th floor, first trapped residents, elderly couple in their 70s, severe smoke inhalation symptoms. Rachel made an immediate advanced medical assessment, severe respiratory distress, carbon monoxide exposure likely, advanced airway management required. From combat medical experience, she knew smoke inhalation cases were critical, immediate intervention required. Advanced oxygen therapy initiated, airway secured, cardiac monitoring established, Rachel reported to the fire team. Rachel's medical intervention was life-saving level. Field intubation, IV fluid resuscitation, continuous respiratory support. First 2 victims' medical stabilization complete, fire team evacuation support. Rachel's medical expertise plus fire team physical rescue, perfect coordination. On the 5th floor, trapped family, mother, father, 3 children ages 5 to 12. Panic condition, children crying, smoke density increasing. Rachel immediately went into family crisis management mode. Family, I'm Rachel, paramedic. We're getting you out safely. Medical triage, adults conscious, children scared but responsive. No immediate life-threatening conditions. Children, we're going on an adventure. Follow Rachel exactly. Calming tone, professional confidence. Rachel's dual expertise was crucial. Advanced medical assessment plus combat zone psychology, keeping the family calm while providing medical evaluation. Medical triage completed. Adults, mild smoke exposure, children unaffected. Advanced oxygen therapy prophylactic, medical evacuation precautionary. 5 additional victims medically cleared, fire team evacuation support. Rachel continuous medical monitoring, ensuring no delayed respiratory complications. The 6th floor was most challenging. Smoke density maximum, visibility near zero, toxic gas concentration highest. Rachel provided fire team medical support with advanced respiratory protection, search pattern systematic, medical assessment of each located victim. First victim: middle-aged man, unconscious, severe smoke inhalation, carbon monoxide poisoning, critical medical intervention, advanced airway compromise, immediate intubation required, antidote therapy initiated. Field advanced life support in hazardous environment. Rachel's combat medical expertise was crucial. Second victim: pregnant woman, 32 weeks, severe respiratory distress, fetal distress indicators, complex medical emergency, smoke poisoning plus obstetric complications, high-risk obstetric emergency, advanced maternal fetal medicine protocols, immediate medical evacuation priority. Rachel was simultaneously managing multiple critical patients in a hazardous environment. Critical patient number 1, unconscious male, advanced airway management, manual ventilation. Critical patient number 2, pregnant female, obstetric emergency, respiratory support. Plus 7 additional residents on the 6th floor, various conditions. Rachel's coordination with fire team, Team Alpha, critical patient evacuation priority, Team Bravo, ambulatory victims fire escape route. This was similar to Aleppo hospital bombing medical response. Multiple critical patients, hazardous environment, limited resources, advanced medical decision-making required. Rachel's 12 years of combat medical experience was crucial. Advanced trauma medicine, disaster zone medical management, crisis medical leadership. Total rescue operation, 45 minutes, 16 victims evacuated, 0 fatalities. Rachel's medical triage at ground level. Critical cases, 3 patients requiring immediate hospital transport. Moderate cases, 8 patients requiring medical evaluation. Minor cases, 5 patients treated and released. Jake was amazed. Rachel, this incredible medical management. How did you handle this so systematically? 12 years of combat medical experience, mass casualty medical incidents, disaster zone medicine, multi-victim advanced medical care. Captain Phillips approached. Martinez, this was textbook medical emergency response, outstanding performance. Rachel coordinated hospital transport for critical patients. Patient 1, unconscious male, smoke inhalation, advanced airway management maintained. Patient 2, pregnant female, obstetric evaluation required, stable condition. Patient 3, elderly female, respiratory complications, oxygen therapy continued. During ambulance transport, Rachel continued advanced medical care. Jake, patient 1 ventilation support, vitals monitoring. Radio hospital, incoming critical smoke inhalation, intubated ETA 12 minutes. Rachel's medical expertise combined with fire rescue experience, perfect patient care under extreme conditions. Hospital arrival, emergency department impressed, paramedic, excellent field care, advanced airway management perfect, medical assessment comprehensive. Emergency department Dr. Harrison evaluated Rachel's medical work. Martinez, this field medicine is outstanding level. Advanced procedures, perfect triage, professional documentation. Thank you, doctor. Medical background? This is emergency medicine residency level care. Rachel paused. Hospital staff gathered, curious about the exceptional paramedic performance. 12 years International Medical Relief Services, combat paramedic specialist. Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria medical operations, disaster zone medicine experience. Dr. Harrison was amazed. You were a combat medic? This explains the advanced medical expertise level. Nursing staff impressed. Rachel, this medical response incredible. Multi-victim advanced medical management perfect. Captain Phillips invited Rachel to visit the fire station. Martinez, this medical emergency response is in department records. 16 victims, advanced medical care, 0 casualties, 45 minutes operation. Team medical support captain, fire department excellent rescue coordination. No, Rachel, you coordinated this medical response. Advanced medical expertise, emergency medicine, patient care, everything outstanding. Fire department presented Rachel with a special medical response recognition certificate. Rachel Martinez, Honorary Emergency Medical Services Recognition. Exceptional medical expertise, civilian emergency medicine. Rachel was emotional. Medical service never leaves you. Different setting, same medical mission. Metro Emergency Services Director Tom Mitchell met with Rachel. Rachel, this medical emergency response extraordinary. Media coverage, medical recognition, patient outcomes, everything perfect. Standard paramedic medical duty, Tom. No, Rachel. This was advanced medical coordination, combat medical expertise plus emergency medicine background. Mitchell's offer: medical operations supervisor position, emergency medical coordination, advanced medical training development, disaster medical response team. Rachel considered. I prefer to stay in patient care, direct medical intervention, emergency response. Understanding, but special medical assignments available. Mass casualty medical training, disaster medical response, interagency medical coordination. Rachel was still working in the same paramedic position at Metro Emergency Services, but with additional responsibilities: special medical operations team member, disaster medical response coordinator, interagency medical training specialist. Rachel's greatest achievement: transferring combat medical expertise to civilian emergency medicine. Combat medical experience never wasted. Medical skills transfer, mission continues, different environment, same medical purpose. In the community, Rachel had become a legend. As long as Rachel's available, emergency response is safe. Rachel's story isn't just about medical heroism. It's about how professional medical expertise is valuable in career transition, how medical service commitment continues by changing form. The transition from combat medicine to civilian emergency medicine is a perfect example of medical skills transfer. Combat medical experience is my foundation. Civilian emergency medicine is its extension. Mission, same: save lives through advanced medical care. Every time residents at Oakwood Apartments see Rachel, they say, real medical heroes change uniforms, but medical mission never changes. Rachel's medical courage that day was the civilian version of Aleppo Hospital medical response. International disaster medical experience applied in domestic emergency. I'm no longer a combat medic, but medical mission never ends. Location changes, medical purpose same. So I ask you, have you ever wondered about your emergency responders' hidden medical background during an emergency situation? People with combat medicine, international medical relief, disaster medical response experience, quietly serving in civilian emergency services? Share in the comments. Because at Hidden Legends, we believe the greatest medical responders often serve in the most unexpected positions. If this story moved you, share it, subscribe, and help these important medical stories continue. See you in the next legend. And remember, in your next medical emergency response, the paramedic might have advanced medical expertise you never knew about. Real medical heroes change uniforms, but never their medical missions.